afternoon, good evening, or good night. This is Julie with J of Cree Freedom, and as per the Lord's request, I am making this video quicker than I made my other one about the 1,000-year reign. So this does have to do with the heart, and you can think of love as well if you want, but I'm not focusing really on love. It's just more on the heart. But it goes back years ago to when I kind of lost my status at the school that I was working at, and I didn't feel that I had a very good status at the church that I went to. It wasn't until we went to leave that people started reaching out to us and want to take me for coffee and do stuff like that more often. But till we decided to leave, then it was like they were just glad to get our money. Like, that's the way it came across. At that time, I really began to question what the Christian life is really about. And there was a lady online, and she had this little chart that she felt she received from the Holy Spirit, and it was basically a set of circles, and in the outside was your outer circle, which is not so important, and then you have the inner circle, which had to do with people and stuff too. But in the tiny inner circle close to the middle was the heart, and that had to do with how you deal with the Lord. So that was important, and she was basically revealing that these things are important to the Lord. It's not about your popularity with people, although that can be important. You guys all know, like, many of us are a little disillusioned with the church in general. Sorry if you're a pastor. I know there's some good ones out there, but you all know, like, there's a lot of corruption out there, and it doesn't necessarily matter how popular you are or things like that when it comes to getting into heaven. And it doesn't even matter your works. It matters the quality of your works, and that's from the New Testament. The works will be tested by fire, and then the Lord will see what will come out from the fire. So I was basically at a point where I wanted the Lord to use me, but I wanted to know if what I was doing was actually what He wanted me to do, because I felt I had some things kind of just ripped out of my hands, and I was scared to be a mom. I wanted to be a mom at that time, but I was actually really scared about that too, and I was worried I would ruin that as well. I just had a lot of negative thoughts and thinking at that time. So anyway, that began my journey learning about the heart. So it has been years of me thinking about this topic. We will just go ahead and dive right in, but I'm coming from the premise that the heart is one of the most important things the Lord looks at when it comes time for someone to die, and when it comes time for someone to stand before His throne in judgment. He will be looking at people's motives for almost everything that they do. So not just, were you nice and sweet when you got all that info from someone so that you could gossip or maybe not gossip about it? Or were you actually being malicious and you wanted all that info so that you could just go savor it and like think how much better you are than that person? You know, it's the same act. Getting someone to share their heart is the same act, but what were your motives in that? Obviously that one is more for women, that example. Okay, so this year I learned a little bit about fine linen, so I will be mentioning that. Fine linen becomes fine because you guys know, hopefully y'all know, linen is like a rough fabric, and it's usually naturally tan. But fine linen became fine in the Old Testament when people bleached it. So they would put the linen in the bleach, and then it would come out super soft. And there were some verses about the fine linen, and also it's what the saints will be dressed in Revelation. So that has to do with the righteous acts of the saints. But what I'm focusing on in this video is that there are different colors and metals and fabrics that basically show the status of a person's heart. So that's the premise. I have my little video of my journal, so I will set that up. We will start going through some of the characteristics of the colors. So let's just start at the top. This also goes back to some dreams that I had, because I had such a weird upbringing and a tough upbringing. I didn't understand people for a long time, so I would constantly pray and ask God to show me who they are. What I didn't realize is that I was praying and asking God to show me their heart. So sometimes I would have dreams of people wearing different colored clothes. If their clothes were black or gray, that was a symbol to me of who they truly were, where their heart was in the spiritual realm. So the colors, so at the top we have sparkly, glittery white, which is see-through usually and like can conduct metal. You can think of diamonds and crystals. And the fabric or metal that goes with it is the diamond or a crystal. We also have fine linen that goes there at the top. The next color is bright gold. The metal that goes with that is gold, pure gold. Its texture is soft and malleable, like flesh. And the Bible also talks about how they will receive a heart of flesh. That is a soft heart that can be moved and molded into something beautiful by the Lord's hand. And then the next color we have is silver, and the metal for that is pure silver. It's also called silver ore. So if you hear silver ore, just think of Lord of the Rings. It's just like an old word for some dwarves hacking out their stuff in the mountain. All right, and then we have gray, the color gray, and what goes with that is the diluted silver. This silver has dross in it. Dross is another word for like the dirt and stuff that can get into the metals that cause it to not be so beautiful. And rock. And the next color is bronze, which is also like a dark gold, and the metal is bronze that goes with that. The next color down, and we're getting into the more a person with an evil dark heart. We have the dark silver, and that what goes with that is the dross. So whatever comes out of that, after the silver has been purified, what comes out is called dross. So someone can have a heart of dross, in my opinion. We have iron and the hard rock. I'm not a person who studies rocks, so I'm not sure what the hardest rock is, but there is something about flint. But I'm not sure where flint would land on this scale. Then we have black, the color black. What goes with black is the iron ore, or you can think of coal as well if you would like to. And then we go down into the deepest black. The deepest black is almost matte color. It's not, it can be shiny. I did have a dream of a woman with feathers. She had a dress on that had feathers that were black, and they were shiny black. It looked like the feathers of a crow or something. So it can be a shiny black, but then we also have a matte black as well at the very bottom. So the Lord is the tester of hearts, and then he set also the prophet Jeremiah over the people as a tester. It says, I have set you as a tester of the ore or the hearts of my people. I just think the ore has to do with their hearts. So he's a tester of ore. You can test the metal to see if it's real gold, real silver. You can test your ring to see if your fiance tried to get a good deal or not. And you can test your heart to see if it's the real deal. And I learned more about that. There was a little book in German, and it was very cute. A woman was looking at those verses in Jeremiah, and she was confused. So she wanted to understand why the testing of metal was so important. So she went to a metal producer, and she asked to see how they purified the metal. And the guy showed her, and he told her at the very end, the way that you know that the metal is totally pure and finished is that he could see his face reflected back from the liquid metal when it was still hot. So he could look into the metal and see his face at like a mirror, basically. And so the purpose of testing the metal and testing the heart and purifying it through fire is so that the Lord can see his reflection in his creation. And I'm getting chills as I'm speaking this out loud. All right, and another verse about the Lord testing people. The righteous God tries the hearts and minds, and that's from Psalm 7, verse 9. God is a righteous God and a God who is indignant every day. I really love that verse. It shows that the Lord, of course, he's the God of time, but he's going through emotion sometimes right as we're going through it too. When we have a painful experience, he's going through it with us as well. So there are some very interesting things about the Lord seeing our hearts in every moment. So before I go into more on our status of our heart, I want to mention the Lord's heart. The Lord has a very, very big heart. If you just hear people's testimonies about seeing the throne of the Father and seeing how big he is, and my little daughter Marcy said she also saw that. She said she was too afraid to look. She told me it was really bright white and she was too afraid to look. And she keeps talking about God's number. She's like, God's number is so high, no one can count it. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, God's number. And she means like how tall God is. She wants to know how tall he is, but she doesn't know. So she's saying his number is so high, no one can measure how tall he is. And if that's the case, and there's a wonderful, loving heart beating in there, not literally beating, but y'all know what I'm saying, then it would be very big. there may be some verses about the Lord having a large heart. The Bible does obviously say the Lord loves the world, so that is an indicator that he has a lot of love. If he were to have a heart, he would have a lot of love in it. The heart lives forever, Psalm 22:26. So that is a portion of our bodies. Obviously, our spirit will be going on, but a portion of us will also, in my view, a portion of us will be going on into eternity. Part of that is the heart. So speaking of the Lord's throne and his beauty, the beauty of the Lord represents also his holiness, obviously. That is what all these beautiful colors represent from Revelation and Psalms and some of the prophets. But obviously, in my view, it also represents his heart, his pure heart. So I will mention a little bit real quick. So Revelation 4:6. And before the throne there was something like a sea of glass, like crystal, and in the center and around the throne, 4 living creatures full of eyes in front and behind. So I'm looking at that sea of glass and the crystal. It shows the Lord's holiness, but I think it also represents the purity of his heart. And there are some really beautiful verses in Job that talk about the beauty of receiving wisdom. And we know that the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. And the fear of the Lord has to do with the Lord being able to change your heart. So I think these verses relate also to the heart. Gold or glass cannot equal it, nor can it be exchanged for articles of fine gold, coral and crystal, not to be mentioned. And the acquisition of wisdom is above that of pearls. So we have all these beautiful, beautiful expressions of different metals that can represent the heart, the pure heart. So now I'm going to go through my little chart. We will start at the top and just mention a few things. And a lot of this teaching is based on Jeremiah. So Jeremiah 5, Jeremiah 6, that's kind of where I went with this video and this teaching, just because I have learned to be more relaxed and talk a little bit more, and I don't want to spend too much time taking up your time. I know many of you are busy, some of you not, but some of you are very busy. So also, another aspect of the heart, just real quick, is that it is a secret and intimate place. And that is why they use the verse in Jeremiah 4:4, remove the foreskin of your heart. It refers to the intimacy of the body part mentioned, and then the intimacy of the heart. It is a very private thing. The heart is special and it's secret. And some people are able to deceive. The heart is deceptive. We can deceive ourselves with the heart, and we can deceive others. So that's why it takes the Lord coming into this secret area of our souls to clean it up or work with it or fix it if it's sick. And many of us have had sick hearts in the past, so I do not exclude myself from that category. I definitely need a heart overhaul. Okay, I've mentioned this several times. We're going to go through the chart. Okay, we're really going to do it. We're really going through the chart. I might do a timestamp on that. So at the top, we have sparkly, glittery white crystal. That is clearly representing, from the Bible, it is representative of the righteous acts of the saints. Fine linen, bright and clean, was given to her to wear. The fine linen means the good deeds, the good things done by God's holy people. I will just read you this verse real quick. I will take out the stubborn heart of stone from their bodies, and I will give them an obedient heart of flesh. That is from Ezekiel. And then from there, once you have that heart of flesh, it says, then they will live by my rules and obey my laws. Then they will be my people. I will be their God. So the actions come from what happens in the heart. And that also has taken me a while to learn. I'm like, Lord, fix me from the inside out. There's that beautiful song, From the Inside Out. That's kind of my motto these days. I would rather look a hot mess to people and have things going on fine in my heart than have like a nasty heart and pretend to be a good person. So, but I'm trying to get both. I'm trying to look good and have a good heart as well. All right, next we have the pure gold, which is the bright gold. By the way, all of this actually compares to the statue of Daniel, so I will pop that photo up on the screen. Kind of interesting. Pure gold. The Israelites could have been described as gold or silver in Jeremiah 6, but they were not. So God's like, I wanted you to be gold and silver, but you actually turned into something else. So that indicates to me that their hearts could have been gold or silver, pure gold and pure silver. So now we're moving into silver. I do not have much on silver. Then we have gray. So I think a lot of people fall into the gray area. That is similar to being lukewarm as well. That is the lukewarm heart. And a gray heart is sitter on the fencer heart. Don't know which side you want to go. It also can be rejected silver. And God did describe the group of Israelites in Jeremiah's time as rejected silver. Basically, he's saying, I tried to refine you, but you didn't want to. You didn't make it through the test. So whatever you have left, you're over here. You're sinful. Your hearts are sinful. The things your hearts desire are sinful. And then the diluted silver can also be like a rock. And the image of a rock, or the image of talking to someone whose heart is like a rock, that is quite popular in our culture. So I don't feel that I have to explain the rock that much. That one's pretty obvious. And you get it. You get the idea of someone having a heart like a rock. And we also have the dross. And the dross is the stuff that has been rejected from the purifying process. So that's like the extra dirt. If you were to wash your face with a cloth and you look at that cloth and it's got brown spots, that would be your dross. That's like an example. Okay, so bronze. The bronze is you're on your way to being rebellious and you're on your way to not honoring the Lord. From Jeremiah 6:28, he described those people as a bronze and iron-hearted people. Oh yeah, okay. The Lord also called those people rejected silver because the Lord has rejected them. So once you start turning into these darker colors, you're really in danger of going to hell, so that's not good. Being rejected by the Lord, not a good thing, obviously. Alright, the Lord gives, in Jeremiah, he gives a few specifics why these people have such a bad heart. He calls them greedy for gain, even from the prophet to the priest, so we have some fake Christianity going on. Judaism, I should say. Everyone deals deceitfully. They treated superficially the broken wound of my people, saying peace, peace, when there will be no peace. False prophecies. The Lord takes that seriously. And then it says, were they ashamed because they had committed disgusting and vile things? No, they were not at all ashamed. They did not even know how to blush at their idolatry. Therefore they will fall among those who fall. At the time that I punish them, they will be overthrown. So there are just some characteristics of a hard heart right there for you to hear. And here in Jeremiah 6:27 and 28, these are the verses that I'm basing a lot of this video on. I, the Lord, have set you as an assayer, O Jeremiah, and as a tester of the ore of my people, that you may know and analyze their acts. And I'm leaning towards analyze the heart as well. They are all the worst kinds of stiff-necked, godless rebels, going around spreading slander. They are not gold and silver ore, but bronze and iron. They are all corrupt. The bellows blow fiercely. The lead is consumed by the fire. In vain they continue refining, but the wicked are not separated and removed. They call them rejected silver, only dross without value, because the Lord has rejected them. Alright, so from there we have the iron, and the iron is basically black, so that is pretty much the darkest thing that you can have. And the dream that I had about the woman wearing the feathers, I do believe she may have been a witch. So it is not my goal to make any witches angry who are listening to this video, but someone who would be dark heart, far into the dark arts, would be having the darkest of the dark, blackest of the black, embracing evil, and so on. Okay, so just a quick side note, I've also had dreams of people wearing beautiful things. So I've had a dream of myself in a white dress. And in the book of Esther, I just read the book of Esther today, Mordecai was clothed with fine linen. He had some blue and some purple in his outfit as well. So he represented royalty, and his fine linen, I believe, represented his heart and his acts, his righteous act to warn the king of the eunuch's plot to murder him. Okay, also, I'm a sensitive person. Any of you who are spiritual and sensitive, Whether you're on the dark side or the light side, actually, you probably can see this. When you look in someone's eyes, you can really see if it's clear, if it's cloudy, what's behind the eyes. And sometimes you really can see the demonic behind the eyes. And that goes also back to the heart embracing darkness or the heart embracing the light of the Holy Spirit. And you can think of the Holy Spirit as a cloud or a beautiful light that comes into a believer's body. This is from Matthew 6:22. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. This verse used to confuse me a lot. I had no clue why it was in the Bible. I didn't get it. I was like, Jesus, you spoke so simply to those people, and then you would drop these bombs, like bombshell of weird stuff. And it's taken me a while to understand it, but I do believe these verses point straight to the heart and what a person invites into the heart. So if you're looking at things you shouldn't be looking at, it also affects what your heart begins to crave and desire, which goes back to why the Lord tells me not to listen to certain songs, not to watch certain things. Actually, I don't I don't watch a lot of what's being produced these days anymore. Actually, I'm very behind on culture, and I'm not ashamed of that. So, it's okay to be a little bit weird so that you can embrace the Holy Spirit and embrace His holiness that He wants to put in you, and embrace the Word as well. All right, I'm going to end with this beautiful verse. All right, so this is from Isaiah 42, and it's talking about the 1,000-year reign, in my opinion. I will lead the blind by ways they have not known. Along unfamiliar paths I will guide them. I will turn the darkness into light before them and make the rough places smooth. I believe that also has to do with the heart. So I speak that blessing out to you for listening to this whole video, and God bless.